They were ready to start a fight. I saw the first punch thrown, and then one dude got in the middle, and we just kept walking on past. Like, fuck you guys. We're not getting in this shit.
Yeah. He was a weapon that the church supposedly used against the Turkish invasion.
What? Not the church.
They knew he was a monster.
They don't do things like that.
They found a man so evil, he works for God.
No.
It was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I was just like, there was nothing. Let's get into it. This is going to be a really serious podcast.
Oh, Jesus.
Welcome to the historical Sofa Kingdom Network, where we're going to talk all things Abraham Lincoln today.
There's that many things on Abraham Lincoln? And there was a few things. I don't know there was all things.
He's a championship wrestler, was he not?
He was.
They also believe that he was gay because he slept in the same bed as his compadre.
Yep.
But then they also retracted it and said that there weren't enough beds, and so a lot of men kind of shared beds back in the day. Head to toes.
I believe historically,
That's actually gayer than
historically when
head to toes is gayer
when they
than head
looked
to head.
at inns and how they used to function,
It depends.
That is the way it worked. You didn't get even your own bed. Everybody just mushed together on one gigantic bed, essentially. Here's the sleeping area. Yeah. Squeeze all in, and all your goods were locked up in essentially a giant safe.
That's how you get lights.
And you couldn't get your things back until morning. And actually, they locked you in the inn.
In the quarters.
So that you couldn't
quarters.
like try to steal anything or even steal somebody's horse and get away. It's like, no. You're here until morning.
That's funny because when I went to a fort in Puerto Rico, that's exactly what they were saying. They were like, basically, they took inmates for a long time, put them in sleeping quarters, and had somebody watching them. And then, they would escape, essentially, run amok in the villages locally, and then the military force, the MPs, would run out, scoop them back up, and bring them back into these jails if they can find them again. But fun war stuff.
I'm not sleeping head to feet.
Well, you have a foot fetish, so that would just make it too enticing for you.
There's a certain number that is for inverted position like that. I don't even want to be in a parallel universe.
72?
No, close.
Off.
You're within
the acceptable range.
You're close.
Yeah, all right.
72 is like that number with some extra steps. So it's not happening.
Yeah, okay.
All things Abraham Lincoln. What the fuck? How much is there? I mean,
well, like Eddie said, professional wrestler, tallest president, abolished slavery. Right, that was one of the biggest things.
Probably the most hated president.
Right.
I mean, the country was literally at war.
Yeah.
Assassinated. Right. He was a very interesting guy.
You got John Wilkes Booth.
Yep. Very tall.
Yeah.
Very. He started the beard movement years ago.
He had what was the genetic condition? It comes with that height, pigeon chest, and a weak aorta. So generally speaking, he wasn't going to live much longer anyway because it just bursts.
I know the back of his head wasn't bulletproof. I know that.
No. Last I checked, nobody's is.
Wolverine. Deadpool.
Yeah. No, Deadpool, you can shoot him in the back of the head. He'll just recover.
Yeah. Apparently, you could probably peel his brain out and it would grow back. Deadpool is one of the most undead characters ever.
He goes back on a cellular level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on which version of Deadpool, and has he run across Thanos yet? And Thanos granted him immortality because he didn't want him to get to Lady Death. Yeah. So some of his healing factor is more of a curse a la Thanos than it is just his healing factor.
So he already had the healing factor, but jealous Thanos took it to a whole new...
So he was 6'4", actually.
Yeah.
Damn.
Big guy, man.
Yeah. He chose the wrong profession. He could have played basketball.
The NBA was not as big in 1865.
Again, genetic condition. Look up what what it is that he
a certain
had.
group of people probably weren't even allowed to fucking play.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now here. I can't believe we're actually talking about Abraham Lincoln.
You said this is the
historical
network.
So we won't talk about his vampire hunting.
And why does he become a vampire hunter? Does anybody know the lore behind this? Has anybody actually seen this?
I don't know the lore behind it, but I think it was like the thing George Washington chopped down a cherry tree.
Yeah.
But Abraham Lincoln actually grew up splitting logs. Is where he grew up. And so he's always thought of with that axe. And so they were like, oh, well, he's a vampire hunter. And I'm like, where the fuck? It was a book, I guess.
Right. So basically, the story is, while still a boy, Abraham Lincoln loses his mother to a vampire bite. Right. He vows revenge, but fails in the attempt, narrowly escaping with his life. and then he becomes a vampire hunter. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. It's a good reason. It's a good reason.
I mean, vampire kills your parents. There you go. Just set out on the path.
But of all of the curses, all of the afflictions that one can have in horror films,
right?
To me, vampire seems the best.
Depends how, like Florida, it's not that good.
Marfan syndrome. There we go. That's
Morphin,
the
okay.
I knew it started with an M.
Yeah, I mean, you literally,
He's a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
if you're a vampire in Florida, you got to go to either Miami or like Orlando or Tampa. Like you have to pick a city with a good nightlife.
But it also depends on the lore because
vampire in Loxahatchee would suck asshole.
like the
You'd be hanging out at Boonies and that's it.
but you can live in Alaska.
30 days a night.
Yeah, but you know what?
No.
Anyone,
I'll take half a day of night.
anybody disappearing from boonies, nobody's gonna care.
No, you could kill. There's people. There's Mexican guys walk home. Like,
Yeah, I mean they were
smorgasbord, bro.
they
Yeah,
were
it was
they were
bad.
ready to start a fight. I saw the first punch thrown, and then one dude got in the middle, and we just kept walking on past. Like, fuck you guys, we're not getting in this shit.
Yeah, I always wanted to go into that Mexican bar too and have a michelada, but it looks a little rough.
Yeah, it looks a little rough.
It's
you
funny.
would be the tallest guy there.
I would be
by far,
far
the tallest guy there. Look at the gringo.
which makes me a fucking target.
Look at this gringo.
This tall woman with a fucking ponytail. We're gonna
I mean,
knock her out.
they were barely higher than the roof of the Honda Civic they
Yeah.
were standing in
They
front.
were little
man.
people and they were angry.
Yes,
They were angry.
Yes, they
Those
were.
cervezas, bro, they get you.
They
get you.
looked like they were homies and they were about to
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And you know what? They are strong, right? If you consider how
We
much
are talking
work
about
during the
Mexicans
day.
Or vampires.
camera.
Which way are we going?
Audio right here, video right there.
We're Puerto Rican. We're like
you guys can talk
we're
about it.
Latino adjacent to the Mexicans. You know
So
what
I can
mean?
talk about it by association.
Yeah,
Okay, we're good.
yeah, by association. Yeah, you're with us.
Wepa.
So
Awesome. Sounds good. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks, guys.
yeah. No, you're welcome, man.
Yeah,
So
it's funny because the spot called Boonies doesn't look nearly as rough as the Mexicans' place on the
Right.
corner from Boonies.
And when you think about Boonies, it literally reminds you of Roadhouse.
And it's literally,
Yeah.
they call themselves a Wild West saloon. They don't even call themselves a bar.
No,
they
no,
call
it's-
themselves a saloon.
yeah, because
It's a good place to watch the fights.
if you're gonna get into some shit, it's gonna be in a
I had
saloon.
some big tattooed
Gonna
fuck.
be in the
I
saloon.
took some guy's number, some big tattooed fucker with hoop earrings that tried to get me to fucking join his jiu-jitsu school in Okeechobee. I was like, I don't know, man. They're kind of good.
Yeah, he may call you this morning.
No.
for a little private lesson,
No, man.
a little one-on-one. He's like, hey, I got mats in my bedroom.
He saw that. He saw the man bun. He's like,
You wanna practice?
Try to take my back.
Yeah, it's like this is a no-gi.
This ain't happening, buddy. This ain't fucking happening.
So no, of all of the cursed afflictions, right? You got vampire.
Yep.
You've got werewolf, right? What else do you got? You got
I mean, vampires live
I guess
forever.
zombie, right?
Yeah.
Zombie.
Zombies worse than werewolves.
When-
Zombie is shit.
depending
you're
on
not
where
yourself.
you see Wendigo you can catch.
Wendigo, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you zombie, you shamble. Even if you're a runner, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
You're decomposing. You're not yourself.
Yeah, zombie is definitely got to be the worst.
It's got to be the
Yeah.
worst, right? Okay, and then
'Cause
Wendigo,
werewolf-
what's the afflictions of a Wendigo? What is?
Werewolf, it would depend on how painful the transformation is.
That's true. Depending on what universe you're in,
American
it's
Werewolf
pretty
in
awful.
London, American Werewolf in London, that looks, fuck that.
That looked like
month,
shit.
Every month,
Like you
fuck
tear
that.
yourself apart to become that.
Maybe it's a
werewolf.
metaphor for women menstruating.
Okay, so Wendigo, a mythological cannibalistic monster.
Yep.
In the spiritual tradition of
Native
North
American?
American.
Native American?
Yes.
Yeah.
You kind of look
It's
like
a
a
fearsome
Yeti.
beast that stalks and eats humans, or as a spirit that possesses humans.
Isn't it called-
That's not exactly the best either.
Isn't,
No.
isn't it caused from when you eat human flesh?
Yeah, if you eat too much human flesh.
Yes.
Right. So the Native Americans would say, like, if a human being consumed other human beings in a certain amount, that they would be possessed by the spirit and therefore become the Wendigo.
Right.
And then you can't
Yeah,
stop. Then you have to eat human
Yes.
flesh.
It's the type of thing where it's like, oh, you guys got trapped in the wilderness. You ran out of food. You had to resort to cannibalism. Somebody didn't stop.
Right. But you know,
When you
it-
got back to civilization.
So maybe we're seeing a really early Native American metaphor for, hey, don't fucking eat people. How about
yeah, yeah,
know?
because you can fucking go crazy and become
Now,
a cannibal. But
vampirisms, there's actually supposed true stories of it, and it's early cases that, like, where, like, someone would die, they would get accused of being a or a vampire.
Yeah.
They would dig up their body.
Yes.
And the thing is, when you die, sometimes the enamel in your teeth and your nails, it keeps growing.
Yeah, so the nails look like they keep growing
and
because
the gum lines would recede.
Yeah, the gums recede, and then the skin around your fingernails pulls back, so it makes your
you look
nails.
like you got claws,
Yes.
and you look like you got big fucking incisors, but
Yes.
you don't. It's just natural things that occur
Now,
to the body.
there is
all right.
also a genetic condition you can be born with where you're essentially allergic to the sun, and your teeth are almost a red-purple color. So there's that as well. So
Right.
so just like there you can actually be allergic to water
So-
as well.
And people in the 16 and 1700s aren't very fucking understanding.
Right,
Yes.
right. And everything
Yeah.
to them was like a mystical thing.
Inquisition.
Okay,
Yes.
quick question.
I'm gonna cut his heart out and burn it.
Since we were talking vampires and real life stories of historical people as well, right?
Yeah.
Under the same vein, because I already knew who this was. Do you know who they thought was the real Dracula historically?
Vlad Tepes? Or
Vlad the Impaler.
Impaler, yes.
Yeah, the Impaler.
He drove
the real
Vlad the Chevy
purple-
Impala.
Purple
Yeah.
interior, fuzzy dice.
he was
that
a-
would make you a
Yeah,
vampire.
he was a fucking dickhead. He was a dickhead.
Oh yeah, he would drain their blood, right? Like
When the Turkish nobles visited him, they didn't take off their turbans
Yes.
for dinner. So he had them nailed to their fucking head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't the most understanding.
And he
human.
found a way to take a stake and start at the rectum and come up out of the throat, and
It took a while.
you would stay alive.
long enough to
Oh,
feel that shit.
He just stuck
No,
you
you'd
up
stay
there.
alive for days. He
Oh.
experimented until he found the route to take
He would-
so he could hang you that way.
He would stick it up there, and he would let gravity do its thing. And they said he would sometimes even dine in the
area where
in the
people are
garden,
dying.
if you will, surrounded by just death and dying.
Listen, what better way to say to your enemies, don't fucking come here,
Yeah.
then
Well,
I will dine while people are
he-
screaming in misery,
He was a
passing out,
weapon.
dying, bleeding
He was
out.
a weapon that the church supposedly used against the Turkish invasion.
what?
It
Not
was-
the church.
They
They
found
knew
a
he
man-
was a monster.
They don't do things like that.
They found a man so
Listen.
evil, he works for
Oh,
God.
no. He was supposedly a Christian.
Yeah, you're
But
doing
he
this
held,
in the
he,
name
held off
of
the,
God.
he held off the Muslim horde. So you know what? We'll allow him to do whatever he
I mean,
does over
look,
there.
think about it like this. Back in the day, right, when you saw a boat, it wasn't like, oh, they're coming for a good time.
Yeah.
Chances are it's either trade or invasion.
Or death.
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
So when you have some crazy motherfuckers, it's like better with us than against us.
Well, that's how supposedly he became Dracula. Like if you read Bram Stoker's Dracula, he had a woman who he loved, Elizabeth, and what happened is when he was off fighting the Turks,
Yes.
she got a letter shot through the castle window
Mm-hmm.
with a note on it that said, "Your husband Vlad or whatever, he was killed in battle."
Yes.
So she's stricken with grief, throws herself off the castle. He gets back after victoriously beating the Turks, finds out his wife was dead, blames God.
Yep.
Oh.
Renounces God, drinks blood from a chalice. Supposedly the blood poured out of the statue of Christ into the chalice. Drinks this shit, renounces God, becomes the first vampire. Right there on the spot. You can no longer see the sun. You live forever. Drink
Listen, that's a
human blood.
great story, by the way.
Listen, if I can get superpowers for doing that, where's that fucking statue?
Hell fuck yeah. But
Let's try this out.
But that's what I'm saying. All right, so based on the different lore, because they're like, I watched a show called Being Human.
Right.
And those vampires could go out in the day. It was just like, it kind of
Yeah.
sun adverse, right? But they also had different powers, like, because historically throughout time, like some vampires could transform into small bats and fly away.
Right.
Or some
Or
had
wolves.
super speed and
Or-
strength and they could fly.
No.
Or they had the ability to compel, which was one of my favorite abilities.
Oh, yeah.
Where they can
Yep.
make somebody mesmerized
Bro,
enough to do
Play
things.
Skyrim.
Glimmer.
Yes.
Play Skyrim.
Glimmer,
You have
yes.
plus 25 in illusion.
Yes, yes,
If you're a
exactly.
vampire. That's the way it is.
So with that being said, that's not a bad version of vampire. If you can go out and not twinkle during the day.
I could get behind night shift if I don't know, but the whole living forever thing, that would kind of like your family would die.
Yeah. You start a new one. Well, actually, you can't.
I mean,
right?
you're probably
Part of
gonna be-
vampirism is you go sterile.
You're probably going to be wealthy because
Yes.
if you live for hundreds of years and you're still broke, you fucking suck.
you better,
Yeah.
you better figure it the fuck
Yeah.
out.
Just
got-
stick it in an account with interest. It's going to get there.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
not going to die.
You've got time. Buy a few things. Wait for them to become old. Sell them.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, remember Sandman?
Yeah.
The one guy that he made immortal that went through all of those different stages,
Yes.
like I'm wealthy,
Broke,
I'm
rich,
popular,
broke.
or I'm broke, I'm living in the street, I'm destitute, I have a lot of women, I have
Yeah.
no women. I'm like, he would come back every 10 years or something like that to check in on him.
No,
You know,
I
he
think
gave
it was
him
more than 10 years, but yeah,
he gave him immortality.
He would keep coming back.
They met at
Yeah.
the same pub.
Yes,
Over and over again.
over and over again. I thought that was a cool kind of story. Like that guy
Sandman
lived enough
that
lives.
was that was good. That was a good show.
Yeah, it was a
That
great
kid
show.
kept me really
Yeah.
fucking enthralled. In
It gave him enough lives or enough lifetimes to be like, I've really lived it all.
Yeah.
And I'm reporting back to you on like how it is. Like,
The werewolf would just come down to like how bad's the transformation.
yes.
And another thing is like,
Can you control the
you can't-
transformation?
Yeah, because then you got to
Yeah.
get the fuck away from your family.
Yeah.
You can't like be around your family.
Can
if
you
you're gonna rip
control the transformation is as important to me too, because it seems like in any of the vampire shows, like Vampire Werewolf, if you can't control your transformation, you're lunch meat.
Yeah.
Like the vampires are like, nah, fuck you, puppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm coming for your ass, you know? But then on the moon, we're going to get our revenge. But in the meantime, we're going to sleep in the sewers. Like, that's not a good life.
And that's
Vampires, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that's the best one.
the witch. And
Witch?
or slash. If you want to be friendly warlock, you want to be a man.
Or if you go into True Blood, you could be a were-panther.
Yes.
That's the worst. That's the fucking
A
worst.
shapeshifter
it's
wouldn't
the
be a bad
worst.
one.
I mean, I don't know.
The ability to transform into anyone? That's not bad.
Well, usually,
not a bad one.
usually when you talk about that, you're talking about skinwalkers, and you have to it apparently
Kill
I
the
think-
person?
Yeah, it's not like a free transformation. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of murder.
Yeah.
Involved.
I transformed into Travis Kelce and fuck Taylor Swift. As soon as I got those powers, just to say I did it.
And then dump her and have her write a
I would
bunch of
just
songs
change,
about you?
change back into me mid-sex.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be like, hey, hi, I'm the problem with me. And then just for a joke, I'd change into Barack Obama.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
to
Give
freak-
her
just
the
to fuck her.
full spectrum. The full spectrum.
sorry.
Yeah.
You have Travis, Ian, Barack.
I mean,
I'm out.
That's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transform into Donald Trump's naked
In
body
that order?
and walk out.
In that order?
Yeah. As I was leaving and waving, I transformed into Trump. 'Cause I walked out of
Make
the-
America great again.
Right.
Yeah.
You been fucked?
Man, no.
So I don't know. If I had to pick one, I don't know. I like the sun though, man. I'm gonna lay by the pool today.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that. Couldn't do that if I was well, it depends. Am I a sparkler or am I actually going to burst into flames?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm of the notion of you can't change the fiction that much. I hated Twilight. I fucking hated the whole concept of it.
Yeah, it was a little like, oh, sparkly.
You can't make them sparkle. They are creatures of the night. They die in daylight. It's what makes them scarier because like you know that they're coming.
Yeah.
There was another historical woman vampire.
Elizabeth Bathory.
That's who it was?
Yes.
Yeah, where she would like bathe.
She's supposedly the only real life historical vampire where she was Romanian or one of those fucking scary countries over there. Anyway,
Yes, Hungarian.
Hungarian, yeah.
A noble woman and ruthless killer.
She believed that if she bathed in the blood of beautiful peasant women, that she would stay young. So she would torture them,
Yes.
kill them, bathe in their
Yes.
blood, and she got the ire of like other nobles found out about what she was doing, and they imprisoned her in the tower of her castle for life.
Now-
she wasted away up there.
Yeah, she was a bad. She was
She
a
was a
bad bitch.
horrible human being.
Interestingly enough, if you read enough of the stories, you will run into accounts where she was being accused of this because she had inherited the land and the ownership of her husband. And since she was a woman,
Interesting.
the
take.
nobles that were men were accusing her of murder so they could lock her up and then take possession of her. So if she was locked up and couldn't get married, no one else could take over, and they instead would run her area.
History would do some shit.
Oh
like that.
yeah, yeah.
They
One-
would paint her as and now we know her as the bloody countess, and like
Yes.
she's even gone as far to make it into like pop culture. Like
Fuck
Vampire
yeah.
Hunter D had her in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fucking great.
All right,
But
wow.
look, someone would say she's the first feminist, right?
Was she hairy enough? I don't know.
Or another victim of a random witch hunt. I mean, it
She
all
was Hungarian.
depends.
She was Hungarian.
She was Hungarian. She was a noblewoman, an alleged serial killer for the Bathory family who owned land in the Kingdom of Hungary. Let's see. She had 4 servants accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and women from 1590 to 1610.
Well, she was trying to stay young, but they said the way she would do it was fucked up. Like she'd have them like in cages, and she'd be like stabbing them with spears and shit.
They
Like,
say
come
she
on, man.
died
Like,
under mysterious circumstances. I'm talking about pitchforks and torches. The villagers had to storm the fucking castle, bro.
They trapped her in the tower for the rest of her life.
They had
She
to.
just died in isolation.
She's a fucking monster.
If it's true, but then what Ed's touching on, that's also a shame if they took her land and locked her in a tower if she didn't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
But history's done fucked up shit.
Okay, so they say that
Braveheart taught me that.
Yep.
You know?
Oh yeah.
he had
History
said
was written by those who have hanged heroes.
accusations were made against her and supported by the testimony of more than 300 individuals, some of whom described physical evidence in the presence of mutilated dead, dying, and imprisoned girls found at the time of her arrest. Recent sources claim that the accusations were a spectacle to destroy her family's influence in the region, which was considered a threat to the political interest of her neighbors.
So, and it happened so long ago, we'll never fucking know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. It's hungry. We'll
Well, so
never
that okay, cool. Another dope question then. You can go back in time machine.
Yes.
You can go back in one time. What would you go visit and why?
Oh my God. I probably want to see, I know I'm in danger, but I'd probably want to see Japan during the feudal era just to see what it was fucking like. I would want to see the Roman Empire because I've been to Rome. I'd want to see Roman Empire at the height of its power. Ooh. I'd want to walk down the streets of Rome when Rome was the epicenter of the planet.
I think I would want to go back and see the dinosaurs. I just want to see like feathers, fur, skin. Like,
can I go back immediately when it starts chasing me?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
you know, yeah. You can leave at any time, but or how about this? You can go and see with no way of physical harm coming to you, like an astral projection. You could just be an observer, a watcher. If
I'm
you
not
will.
disciplined enough. I know I would be killed in ancient Japan. I know I would show up. I wouldn't bow low enough. They'd be jealous how tall I
They're
was.
like, yo,
or
have
something.
you
They'd kill me, and I can't fight a fucking samurai.
Yo, this
I'm gonna die
jiu-jitsu
immediately.
that you guys are... Listen, let me show you Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Dead immediately.
Oh, dude.
Dead. They're like, it started here in Japan,
Yeah.
sir.
No, we'd probably do okay. It's just we would probably get thrown. They would judo throw us, but once we hit the floor, we'd be all right.
Yeah.
Well, back then it was different.
That's usually how it went.
But also back then it was different. The ground game was a part of their original fighting, and then
Right.
it separated into the sport where it was
judo.
just the standing.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
Judo kind of birthed jiu-jitsu, but like Brazilian jiu-jitsu molded into its own thing.
I think Egypt would be an interesting place because you have two time periods in Egypt where either, especially when they look at the evidence of the Sphinx, where is it when Egyptologists are saying it is, you know,
And what
or
the fuck?
is it you know that 10,000 years beforehand, which is what the weathering around the statue is actually showing.
Graham Hancock?
And how comes all fucking Egyptians can't speak ancient Egyptian? What happened? Why do we need the Rosetta Stone? Why does the hieroglyphics make
Isn't
no
it the
sense?
same with the Mayan culture? That nobody knows how to speak the actual
Well, the
language?
What
Mayans,
happened?
the Mayans, the issue is the Mayans essentially disappeared. The Egyptians never disappeared.
They're there.
They're still there.
Well, so what happened?
But also, they only accept the accounts
left the planet.
written on their walls until a certain period where it goes back to it. And then they go,
Why-
oh, all of this stuff from this point backwards is fake.
Why do we
but
have-
this stuff from here forwards is real.
Why do we have pyramids in fucking Southeast Asia,
Right.
Egypt, and then South America?
Look, they're
Why?
finding them all
Why?
around the world in different places. Here's another thing, right?
What's going on?
Here's a culture.
maybe a spaceship landing.
Here's a culture obsessed with
Or a gate.
spiritual.
You want to go to Egypt immediately? You walk through the gate.
Spirituality, right? Obsessed with the stars. Obsessed with life after death.
Yep.
And also, they disappeared, right? A lot of their shit. How did it happen? They did some amazing feats. Here's a culture just completely enveloped by all of those things.
You remember Alien vs. Predator? Yeah. Where like the predators were fighting on the Mayan,
Oh yeah.
fighting on the Mayan pyramid, and the reason the Mayans are gone is because the xenomorph killed them all, and then they blew themselves up. I was like, dude, this is fucking great. This myth. I hope this is what happened.
I think the best way that described like Egyptian mythology was in Stargate.
Yeah.
That they made gates and they portaled off the planet to other planets and populated the galaxy with human beings. But there was an alien race that was in charge of using humans to build civilizations for them to go to war with other aliens. So they were a warring race who stole technology from other advanced races to then kill them, take over, and make them their slaves. So that's the theory behind Stargate. So like you go to other planets and there's all this, like Ra is an actual alien who is a god amongst men because of his technology.
Right.
Thor is actually like the little gray alien who, who came down. They were protectors of Earth, the Asgardians. Their race of aliens protected the Earthlings with technology. But since they didn't want to show up looking like little gray aliens, they projected themselves like these larger than life human beings with weapons of thunder and lightning. It was just basically like, lasers and shit that people were like, oh my God.
Wizard of Oz shit.
Yes, exactly. And if you really think about it, like if you went back in time with your phone, right?
You'd be killed.
They would think you're a fucking god or a magician.
It just has to light up and show a couple pictures. It doesn't even need a network.
I would just try to help him. I'm like, hey,
I would fuck him up.
The guy's sick. Don't cut him.
I would fuck him up. I take a picture. I take a picture of him and be like,
how about just clean his wound?
I have your soul. Do you want to go to hell?
Make me king.
I want a village out here in La Hacienda. 300 guards at all times.
Speaking of alien technology, they're saying that new Alien Romulus movie is fantastic. It's got great ratings.
I want to see it.
Yeah, they're saying it's
out.
Yeah, they're saying it's a return to the horror roots. Like it's actually psychological horror again, and they said it's got the highest rating. Like the highest rated alien movies of all time are Alien 2, James Cameron one, which everyone thinks is the best.
Yes.
Alien 1 and this one. It's ahead of all of them. It's ahead of Prometheus, Covenant, every other alien movie ever.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
I want to take a look at it.
I've been wanting to see a good movie. Deadpool delivered. That was the only reason for me to go to a movie theater in a long time.
I was only nervous that was gonna suck. I was like, oh please. There's no way though. But in my back of my head, I'm like, there's no way this can suck. There's no fucking way Ryan Reynolds would not put it out. There's no way.
So it's out now. Yeah, Borderlands. They're calling it.
Oh no.
Boredomlands.
No. That might be, and I will.
The biggest disappointment.
I will say this. Because I've watched horrible movies before and reviewed them for this podcast,
yes.
I will take a look at Borderlands when it comes out on a streaming service.
Yep.
And I will give an honest reply.
Yeah, I'll see it then, but paying to go see it, I don't know anyone who's...
I don't know, man. I'm curious.
Shay sent me a review.
Anytime I see something so bad, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to see it.
Shay sent me a professional critics review, and I have it here. It's saved. It got half a star.
Ooh,
out of 5
half
stars.
A star. Okay.
Out of 5 stars, it got half a star. And this guy, this is his description of this movie. Truly one of the worst movies I've ever seen. In a year of beautiful movies set on desert planets, Dune and Furiosa, this movie dared to ask, what if we did this but made it absolutely hideous? The CGI and visuals were jarringly bad, the acting was truly terrible, and the greatest crime of all was the script. It was definitely written by a group of people who exclusively use Facebook for social media. It would almost be excusable if it was made for children, but it constantly reminds you that it's not with the gratuitous profanity. Right. They tried so hard to be Deadpool while staying just within the boundaries of PG-13 rating, but failed with a script devoid of any redemption. I laughed when I was supposed to cry, and cringed when I wanted to laugh. The 9% it currently has on Rotten Tomatoes is incredibly generous. It got half a star for just having Bobby Lee in it for 10 to 15 minutes.
Wow.
And I actually got to take a nap during the second half.
That's fucking crazy.
That is the #1 most liked review.
Wow.
Half a star.
Damn.
So
Bobby Lee. Who's Bobby Lee?
Bobby Lee's like that Asian comedian who has a podcast.
Yeah, I thought that was.
And I never even knew he was in it, but that guy threw a spoiler and didn't care. He's like, that's the only reason it got half a star is because Bobby Lee's in it.
Yeah, that would be the only saving grace. Yeah, he's a funny motherfucker. He's always on that other guy's podcast.
Well, he's got a podcast with Santino.
Yes.
What's his podcast called?
It's a Bad Friends podcast.
Friends,
yeah.
That's fucking great.
No, I don't know. It's a shame, but I kind of knew that when I saw the casting choices.
Yeah.
Like, the movie looked ridiculous. I'm like, okay, but it's Borderlands. Borderlands was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was like, what the fuck is Jamie Lee Curtis and Kate Blanchett doing there?
Yeah.
They're two, like, Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actresses. They
it's
don't
very
belong
odd.
in a goofy film like that. Like,
It was odd casting choices, but they're good actresses. So, like, to me, I was like, it could be good.
They said Kate Blanchett, like, you can see in her face that maybe she doesn't want to be there. They said, like,
phoned it in.
They said it's definitely her phoning it in.
Yeah.
Like, this is Galadriel.
Like, this is a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's a paycheck.
She's a great actress.
But also,
does fantastic movies.
Also, to try to make a mature rated game PG-13. Like, the whole game itself is an adult game, like the comedy and everything behind it.
Oh, yeah.
So to try to,
it should have been rated R.
Yeah.
It never should have been PG-13.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you watch Kate Blanchett play Hela, Thor's sister, in Thor, not Love and Thunder, Ragnarok. You watch her play that, and then you watch her play this character. You can tell she's watered down. She's just, I'm here, I'm getting paid. Let's get this.
She's played so many really good roles. Even I think she played what's that historical lady? She kicked everybody's ass on a horse.
Oh, not Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc.
Was it?
Yeah. Joan of Arc. She played Joan of Arc as well.
I remember Mia Jovovich played Joan of Arc.
She did one too as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kate Blanchett's a fantastic actor. To me, she's always going to be Galadriel, though.
Yeah.
To me, because that was her role to me.
Yeah, when she went like supernaturally evil. When she told, oh my god!
When she told Frodo's ass, like, I can take that ring right now.
Oh, that's right. The only other person I see that flips like that from like good to evil so very quickly is Homelander.
Yeah.
He has that like,
he's still
hey
not
guys,
one.
I'm your superhero, and he's like, murder that bitch. Like he's 2.5 seconds flat, just like
He still has not won a Golden Globe.
I know, which is a shame.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
which is a shame.
That man needs an award for playing that villain. Like,
yeah,
he just does.
Yeah, he sells it so good that I look at him and I'm like, is he really evil in real life?
Started reading the comic books because everyone was telling me like, oh, the Boys comic books is worse than the show.
Right.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Because it's written by the same guy that wrote Crossed, which is, don't look it up.
Yes.
It's the worst fucking comic book ever. It's got the worst, most horrifying shit in it you'll ever read or see. And it's well illustrated. It's great art.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's drawing this shit? Like, I'm like, this is insane. Like what they're putting in this comic book. Anyway. So I'm watching it, and a lot of things that happen in the show are really watered down compared to like Maeve, the Wonder Woman type character.
Yeah.
The way she gets fucking killed by Homelander is insane.
Ugh.
Like she tries to defend Starlight, and like she swings a sword at Homelander and like breaks on his fucking forehead. Like the sword explodes on his forehead.
Damn.
And he just goes, he's like, I can't be killed, bitch. And he like uppercuts her and blows her fucking head off. Oh. Like her head gets launched from her neck from the force of this punch. And I'm just like, oh, so Homelander in the comic books is
way stronger.
Like evil Superman. Like,
Yes.
holy shit. Like, you can't do anything to him.
And is he stronger in the comics than he is in the show?
I would say, yeah. His feats in the comic books are he's actually evil Superman.
Yeah.
And he's gigantic. Like,
Right.
Homelander in the comic books is fucking roided.
Just stacked.
Yeah.
He's
Brock Lesnar.
bigger than Henry Cavill. He's
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. The way he switches in the show, you're right. It's
fantastic. It's fantastic acting.
Like the last season, he went down and visited the people that he grew up around that like did all those tests on him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Mark, get in the oven. I was like, dude, no. Like, he's like, Mark, he's like, either you can get in the oven. He's like, or go get your family and they can get in with you. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, he just roasts the guy alive. He's like, you remember when you burned me, Mark? You remember when you burned my flesh and it would just regenerate? You remember that? he's like, I didn't show it, Mark, but it hurt really bad. He just makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He
does.
tells the one guy to jerk off in front of him.
Yes.
He's like, if you don't, I'm gonna laser your dick off.
Oh no.
Like, he's like, come on. He's like sitting in a chair watching him. He's like, come on, jerk off. He's like, either you get hard right now, I'm gonna laser your dick. I'm like, this guy is like insane. Like, this show is fucking wild. It's so wild.
Yeah.
If you're not watching The Boys, you're missing.
No, he's evil incarnate.
Yeah.
He really is.
But then you hear about him beating up chefs and shit in real life, and you're like,
He's had a
him?
good number of incidents in real life.
He might be fun to hang out with.
I think that there's that thing with some actors where the line gets a little bit blurred. Like Joaquin Phoenix. What makes him such a great actor is that every now and again he kind of loses his marbles, right?
He's working, yeah. His Oscar acceptance speech for Joker, he was rambling.
Clearly a lunatic.
There's something wrong with that.
But there's something about him that could get lost in a role that when you watch it on screen, you're like, fuck, he's just such a great actor.
Well, that happens. Like, you hear about these actors that are good, but they're like notoriously insane. Like the one guy that used to work with Werner Herzog all the time, Klaus Kinski.
Yes.
He's a really goofy looking fucking dude. And if you look up a picture of him, he's ugly as sin.
Yeah.
But he was notoriously impossible to work with. He would assault his coworkers. He was probably insane. He's probably a man who was insane, but could act.
Yeah.
And so they put him in these roles.
Yeah.
But like, you literally can't work with him. He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, that's why you get those recordings of Christian Bale snapping on people.
Yep.
But it's like, also, if you're devoted to a role and some dude keeps walking through your set.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed too. Like
You're
you're
just
trying to knock it out. You're trying to do
get
your
in
job.
character. You're trying to win that Oscar.
Yeah,
and you got Timmy, the dickhead lighting guy, that keeps stepping into the shot.
I believe
I'd be pissed too.
he wasn't
I
just
would,
walking across the set. he was adjusting the lights while they were filming. So he's moving stuff. And he's
that guy was clearly high.
Yeah.
He was high.
It's like,
Christian Bale like went off on him.
Yeah.
That rant is nuts. He's just like, I'll beat your fucking face in. He's like, if this guy's here tomorrow, I'm fucking walking. It's like, it was nuts. It's like, it's like, oh, I guess the lighting guy got fired.
Yo,
like,
he went full American Psycho.
bro, if they gotta choose, it was on that Terminator movie, right? It was like Terminator.
Yeah.
no. It was, wasn't it on Batman?
Was it Batman?
I thought it was Terminator, the one he did where he was John Connor.
No, I could have sworn it was a Batman. It was on Batman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up while you guys are talking. Yeah.
I just know that like that fucking lighting guy got fired because
Yeah.
when he said if he's here tomorrow I walk. Now the studio is choosing between lighting guy number 12 and fucking Christian Bale. You're fired.
I believe he had said it was like the most emotional scene of the movie, and they just couldn't get it, and then they kept shooting, and then
you got this guy fucking,
and he's fiddling and moving the lights and shit while they're rolling film.
They would try to paint him as like a dick without telling the whole story.
Terminator Salvation.
Oh, what's Terminator?
He dropped 39 F-bombs.
Well,
That's fucking great.
I mean, he was probably trying to get into a role.
Yeah.
And he was trying to convey emotion, and he's got this guy, It's like if you walked in, I guarantee you, if you walked in, I work in a hospital, I work in an OR. If you walked into one of Dr. Levy's cases when he's fixing someone's shoulder, and you started fucking with a light while he's cutting on this guy's tendons, you're probably going to get more than 39 F-bombs. I'm just saying. He's not going to hold back.
Yeah, when people are taking their job very seriously and somebody keeps fucking you up, I'd be pissed too. The other F-bomb fact, in the MCU, the F word is said 119 times.
I saw this statistic.
Once in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and 118 times in Deadpool and Wolverine. When I seen that, I was like, I hope that fact is real.
It probably is.
Hope it is. That's fucking great.
How many times is the F word used in Pulp Fiction? Because there used to be a drinking game. I know it's in the 90s, but there was a drinking game when I was going through high school.
Ooh.
And it was like you'd watch Pulp Fiction and everybody takes a shot or whatever.
Every time they say the F word in Pulp Fiction.
That's a terrible idea.
You can't get through it if everybody's drinking. You have to do one. The next person does one. The next person does one.
Oh, you have to keep passing it down the line.
Yes, and there has to be a decent amount of people. Like you have to be watching the movie with 12 plus people.
Yeah.
Or someone is going to die.
265 times.
In Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of shots.
Yeah, that's Quentin Tarantino got criticism for that back when he made the movie because they were like, oh, but it's like, oh, this is kind of how people talk.
Yeah.
Outside of like your civilized fucking.
Yeah, he's like when you're dealing with regular people and they're not at work.
When he was at the height of movie making,
I dropped the F-bomb quite a few times.
Yeah. When he was at the height of movie making, like he had some really good fucking banger movies. Pulp Fiction. He had Reservoir Dogs.
Yep.
What was the vampire movie?
Oh, Dusk Till Dawn. That's where the
Yeah.
friendship between him and Rico Rodriguez took off.
Yeah. Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Kill Bill. Those were great.
Both adorations of it. He did Jackie Brown. He did some off key stuff.
Shit.
Like he even produced a Eastern, like an Asian Japanese. It was Eastern or one of the countries, some country over there. He endorsed like a giant monster movie. It was called like Mighty Peking Man or something. He literally wanted to do it.
Yes.
He just endorsed it and produced it because he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Like he was like, fuck yeah, I always loved giant monster movies. And it was cheesy as fuck. Like it was shot like it was made for the 70s.
Yeah.
But that is really what he's good at. Is like he likes to emulate a time period of movie and then make it his own.
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
It's literally like the 1960s in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got bell bottoms. Charles Manson is in it. Like it's like
Why not? That's where he shines.
Bruce Lee is in it.
Yep.
Like Brad Pitt whoops Bruce Lee's ass in that movie. I'm like, this is fucking great. Like this movie is just legendary.
I still haven't seen that movie because of that. I'm like, no way he beat Bruce Lee's ass.
Bro.
And I know Gene LaBelle.
It's based off the myth of Gene LaBelle.
Yeah. So okay, I believe it, but I still don't want to see it, bro.
Listen, it probably really happened.
It probably did.
Bruce may have had an ego.
Yes.
Yep.
Being a rock star, movie star about abs, all that shit, throwing kicks.
Yeah.
And he probably fucked around with Gene LaBelle, who was a judo Olympian.
And found out.
And when you're 130 pounds and all you throw is side kicks and you grab a hold of a fucking 180-pound judo Olympian,
Yeah.
he's going to hurt you.
It's true.
If you can't control the range and he gets a hold of you,
You're done.
Yeah,
You're done,
and that's
Steve.
why we're doing arm bars and Enter the Dragon. That's exactly why.
This
to paraphrase Joe Rogan, now we learn grapple.
Yeah, this brings a point to what happened to me this Friday. So I had the privilege of training with this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who was, I have to say, like at least 325 pounds.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Big boy,
But muscle as well.
That sounds terrible.
Black belt as long as I've been training. He's been a black belt as long as I've been training my entire career. He was also, I come to find out because we had dinner and I get to sit down with him. He was also a professional wrestler, like a WWE professional wrestler for like 11 years.
It's getting scarier.
This gargantuan man who is super fucking nice, super nerdy, like just a chill motherfucker.
Could just kill you in a moment.
There was nothing. Yeah. There was a moment where I realized there was nothing I could do to this man at all. At all. Yeah. Couldn't move him, couldn't get around him, couldn't get over him. He just sat there, right? And I'm just like, I'm going to go this way. No, you're not. I'm going to go this way. No, you're not. I'm going to lift your legs. No, I'm not. Yeah. Not with all of my strength or all of my technique.
Yeah.
There was a point where I'm like, jiu-jitsu has failed me.
It hasn't failed you. It's just that's why we have weight classes.
I don't tap to pressure.
Yeah.
I've been in it long enough. There was a point when he got on top of me, and I know.
Oh, George almost tapped me.
And I know for a fact, he was
holding back.
325,
yeah.
And he's laying on me, and I'm thinking to myself,
because if he's not holding back, he's a dick.
I'm thinking to myself,
you are not 300 pounds.
I'm gonna die here, but I'm not gonna tap to pressure. Get the fuck out of here. And I'm just like trying to breathe. But it was hilarious.
I don't think jiu-jitsu failed you. I think there's just like you said, he's been doing it longer than you've been alive. Yeah. He is also a fucking unit.
Yes,
so
yeah.
If he WWE wrestled, I mean,
yeah. He was.
They are lifting other 300-pound men up in the air above their head. That you're physically not. None of us on this couch are designed to deal with something like that. Let alone trained that long.
It was like
jiu-jitsu didn't fail you. No. It just that's about where you should be. Under him, struggling to survive. That sounds about right.
It was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I was just like. There was nothing outside of running back 30 paces and holding out a gun that I could do and hoping that first shot that I take kills. Because if he gets me
that's like
wounded, I'm still dead.
Well, that's like when I rolled with Kamaru and I did the Kimura sweep that I always hit people with. And in midair, like he Wakanda forever. Like, as I was sweeping him, I was like, I'm about to be on top of Kamaru Usman. And as I'm sweeping him in midair, his legs like transitioned. He shifted. His arm just did what it wanted to do. And he ended up on top of me. And I was like, this isn't how this works.
This isn't how it goes.
And now I'm being pressured by Kamaru Usman. I was like, this sucks. I was like, okay. In that moment, I realized, I'm nothing. It's a cat playing with a ball of yarn. I was like, I'm fucking done.
What makes this even funnier is that we've been calling Grant victim weight. Lately, right?
Oh, he's
right, because there's like we're seeing like it's called high calorie weight and victim weight. So I've been joking calling him victim weight.
High calorie competitor.
Yeah, high calorie competitor and victim weight competitor. So I've been calling him victim weight. We're laughing. So Grant sitting against the wall watching me struggle against this behemoth of a man. Grant tells me, he's like, I crossed my feet. I'm watching. He's like, the only thing I was missing was popcorn. I'm thinking to myself, who's victim weight now, right? I'm like, well played. I would have done the same shit, bro.
Bro, they make weight divisions for a reason. Like you're legitimately, if he's that big, you're legitimately grappling a black belt super heavyweight.
Yeah, man.
Like
It's fighting a superhero at that point. Like, yes, that's Homelander versus average human being.
Yeah, you're not meant to win. You're not meant to win. If he's allowed to put his pressure on you, and
you know what? That's the name of the episode. You're not meant to win. And on that note,
there you go.
Thank you for joining us at the Sofa Kingdom podcast, where sometimes jiu-jitsu fails you.
And sometimes you're just not meant to win.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. You know? Lessons learned, you know? And on a serious level, like, it's great. Because, like, you should walk in the room and be like, you should never walk into a room thinking, I'm the toughest man in the room.
Yeah.
Unless you're that man. Because then you are.
Even if you are that man, you shouldn't think that, you know?
No.
Stay humble, you know?
Yeah. But if you're him, yeah. As a matter of fact, at the end of the class, everybody was like, "Hey, thank you for teaching us and training us." He was like, "No, thank you for allowing me to kick all of your asses." He's like, "Don't thank me. I thank you."
I start rolling for heel hooks. Like, please God,
his leg wouldn't move. I promise you.
just try to attack his smallest joint.